Welcome back to Mind Hops episode 4. Today we are going to have our first guest on.
Yes.
Say hello, Eric.
We got Eric here, E.T. He also goes by E.T. Got him on the line here. Welcome, E.T.
I am on the line.
Yeah.
We promise he's here.
I promise I'll edit that out. Will not probably do that, but
I wasn't sure because the producers, when your producers contacted me, I was like, seriously, Mind Hops? Are you kidding me? Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know you're jumping up and down with joy. But you have a pretty cool channel out there. Is that correct? Am I correct in saying that? Yeah.
Saying cool channel is probably an objective term.
Yeah,
but
probably not a very hip one either. Yeah.
Yeah, with a very minimal subscribe base, just a couple hundred. I do a modern board gaming channel. So
yeah, a couple hundred. That's probably a couple hundred more than us at this point.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Do you work with board games for a living?
No, I do not. Playing some of the board games do feel like a chore, though.
Yeah.
Some of the new mechanics and stuff like that. But no, I just do it for fun. I started my YouTube channel just because I saw other people were talking about the content and they were excited about it. And I thought, hey, I like talking. And this is an area that I like talking about. I love playing board games with my friends. And so I just decided to put out some material. It's not like a moneymaker. I'm not trying to seek fame. I just put it out there. And if people want to latch on and watch some
passion project kind of thing.
Yeah, it's more fun for you.
Exactly.
That's kind of what we're doing with ours.
Yeah, with Mind Hops, it's the same thing. Yeah. It's like I like beer, you like beer, people like beer.
Yeah, and we like talking and it's feeling important, so we understand for sure.
So I really do appreciate it. Thanks for the shameless free plug and
no, thanks for joining us. I'm really proud to have you as our first guest. I mean,
yes, I'm happy.
This is your first time meeting Jack, but obviously we have a little bit of a history. We go back probably like 10 years now or something like that. We actually had a little podcast too out there somewhere. You can probably find it called the Bowcast. I think it was.
That one's gonna blow up now.
Yeah. My plan was, Eric, to get this thing going real big so we can really just plug our original podcast and just bail on this thing, But don't tell Jack
leave me hanging.
Yeah.
We're doing a call-in coup.
Yeah. First that I know of, anyway. So yeah, you got board games. Your YouTube channel, I've watched quite a bit of it actually. I love it because I've always been an avid fan of board games, but it's one of those things that you definitely, you probably don't have to have it, but you got to have a group of friends. A lot of the times it helps having a group of friends and putting time aside if you want to get those really big, fun board games together. And I've done it a few times, but
it definitely helps to have a group. Obviously,
yeah.
But there is a kind of a cult phenomenon in the board game world now where almost every designer is putting a solo version of their game within it, like a rule set.
Oh, really?
And these designers, the company will hire people to design a solo side to it. So that way, if people just wanted to push cardboard by themselves, they can do so.
That's good to know.
I've never heard that before. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, especially for people like us who don't really have many friends.
Yeah. Most of my friends are cardboard. So.
Hey, a lot of people have the resort of things now. I guess because if you want to call it, I don't know how you guys label it as far as the COVID or pandemic or whatever. Boogeyman or whatever.
Yeah.
But it definitely, like I've not put as much content as I had over the last couple of years, but I just recently put up a few kind of little mini unboxings and stuff. Just because
I watched some of the Alien one earlier.
I was missing it so much. Yeah, I actually soloed that the other night by myself, but controlling 6 Marines and Newt is a task when you have about 30 aliens about to overrun you.
No kidding. Can I just comment on something real quick?
Yeah.
Your channel is the Dice Matrix, right? And I just gotta say, it's really cool that you got that audio. It sounds like you're in the Matrix right now. Like you're coming in and out of the Matrix. You're really going with the theme, and I gotta say, I got hats off to you for that.
I wasn't sure if that was just me hearing that or if we were both catching that on this end.
No, we're actually. He's in a deeper level of the Matrix than us.
It's those meatballs that he's eating right now.
Yeah. There's
I told you guys, while you were waiting to put me on the air, it's like, hey, I got to eat meatballs.
Yeah.
I'm no good.
Hey, I think Agent Smith knows about your meatballs, man. You better watch out.
Yeah, well, I stopped those in midair.
So I gotta say, board games haven't been as big in my life. It actually does bring back a lot of childhood memories. I think a lot of people have, I don't know. I'm just guessing people have memories with board games because I have had a lot of horrible ones. Good, horrible though. Like you have your family game night, and my first family game night I remember is Monopoly. I feel like a lot of people probably have that. So
Yeah.
I'll start with you, Eric. Or do you want to go by ET or Eric? I've known you as ET, but
Whatever you guys feel comfortable calling me, it's
right.
fine.
All right.
We all have a bunch of nicknames, and that's
All right,
a whole
Pops.
other discussion.
We could just swap them around as we go through the show to
Yeah.
confuse people.
Yeah, I love that.
People are like, I thought this guy's name was Trenton, and it's like, no, we call him Steve.
Yeah, that is the true. And Big Daddy Balls, that's what my uncle called me. BDB for short. We don't have to we should probably explain that, but we're not going to right now. I didn't get touched by my uncle, just so everyone knows. So we'll start with you, ET. What would you say? Either you can the first board game you remember playing, or maybe the first board game you remember playing that kind of left an impact on you, like as a kid or early adult, whenever.
Well, I guess I can almost go back to the earliest version of Ideas of Bird. I'm sure I played like little tiny sort of a shoot and ladder as a real little kid. But I remember I was probably about 6 or 7 when my my older brother Mike had joined a chess club, and then he needed a robot to move pieces against, so he taught me how to play.
Yeah.
So that was my first experience. But then, of course, Monopoly is always the biggest game. When you
Oh yeah, Monopoly is
destroyer
of families.
Yeah, a lot of
family
fun.
game.
A lot of fun.
Right,
Yeah. What about you, Jack?
When you go back, but
Yeah.
So I got a pretty good story for this one. Would you guys count Categories as a board game? I think it's a board game, right?
Yeah.
Party
A
game.
party game. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
We
it's all
play.
considered a board game. Card games, board games.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
We play at my grandma's a lot when we have family get-togethers. And back when my great grandma was still alive, she would play, and I swear she made up so many words. And it's like she's 92. We got to let it slide. We can't sit here and yell at her. But it got really bad to the point where we're like, no, we're not going to count that as a point, you freaking cheater. We don't care how old you are. Stop playing that card. You don't have dementia or anything.
Wait, did she play Dementia? Because if you took that away from her, that wouldn't have been right.
No.
Okay.
No, she was a very healthy 92-year-old. We all knew she was bullshitting us.
Okay.
It was very clear.
She used it to her advantage. Touche. I didn't even take notes now for my future self. But the problem is my future cell phone isn't going to know how to use a cell phone, so that's a catch.
Or whatever new device is out then.
Your future self.
Yeah. All right, so I guess that leaves me. So I remember the board game wasn't the first one I played, but the first one that left a really big impact on me was, I think it was Risk. So if people that aren't familiar with the game Risk, it's...
Where have you been all your life, for one?
Yeah, for one, get out from under that rock. I know
Risk is amazing.
Risk is a very fun game. Very war. It can definitely cause real wars in real life as well. But I remember playing with my brother, my mom, and my dad. And me and my brother kind of had a fragile alliance, but I thought I had a really solid alliance with them, and we were going to take my dad down, right? And there's this piece of land, I can't remember, it's been a while since I played Risk, but whatever the positioning we were in, it was this piece of land in between 3 of us that was really hard to take. And every time we would all, brawl over this piece of this country or whatever. And I remember getting blindsided by my brother and my dad at the same time. And they totally just my brother's trust completely, I never had trust in him again. He destroyed me. So then I had to retreat back. I remember the last piece of land I had was in Australia, and my mom had basically Australia covered. I had a little safe haven in Australia because you had to go through my mom's territory to get to me, basically. So I remember just amassing as many troops I could in Australia, And that might be my weird fetish with Australian women, by the way. Their accents. That might be where that comes from because I think it's pretty sexy. But getting back to the board game. So I remember amassing just a giant army and just going hell out, just going for my brother and just going straight across the board. And we ended up annihilating each other like kamikaze war. And my dad ended up winning, of course. That might have been his long-term plan the whole time, playing us both against each other.
You guys against each
the
other.
double cross thing. But yeah, ever since then, I've never trusted my brother quite the same. And I feel like he might listen to this episode because he knows that I'm doing this podcast as well now.
If he hands you a drink at a bar, do you still take it? I mean,
maybe. Yeah, if he's buying it, I probably will. But I love my brother a lot. But I think he knows that. Ever since that day at Risk, it hurts, and I have to do a double take on him. I can't quite trust him like I used to, but that's my heartbreaking family board game story. But Risk is a fantastic game.
Oh, it takes forever.
Not
Other
a
than that,
sponsor,
though,
but
it's
yeah.
amazing. You know, actually, I got a good one here. One that is a horrible game. And I think it's pretty clear that I drink quite a bit. Yeah. But I was searching through the shelves of the drinking games and the card games, and I found this one called Buzzed.
Yeah.
And I thought it looked like a good time for $15, but that was the biggest waste of $15 I've ever spent.
Yeah.
So it's basically you just flip a card and it says, if you're this, you drink. It's like whoever has the shortest name drinks. And then, after you play it once or twice, you just start seeing the same cards over and over again. And they had an expansion pack for the same price. I'm like, so you want me to spend double on the game I initially didn't even like?
They were expecting you to be drunk when you were doing this. So clearly, they wanted you to play, and you're just gonna,
Pretty sure I was drunk when I bought it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I still didn't like it.
Yeah, they want you to be drunk for the expansion as well. Drinking games are very interesting. Ring of Fire is one that it's a card game more than like a board game, I guess. But as we covered, I guess card games can be considered that, and it's kind of just you use the deck. But
I was gonna say, if anyone's the professional here, I would say it's ET. And he claimed card games are board games.
And he's not even a drinker, so I mean, he is the professional in that realm for sure. Yeah.
I wouldn't go so far as to say professional, but I do okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. So how many years have you been playing board games? Would you say overall?
Well, I mean, obviously through the years, you always played board games your whole life, probably. But when I kind of got
how old are you, old man?
I also have,
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Just add a couple of zeros to your number.
Okay. Okay.
Definitely old, but I would say that I had a moment with Risk too. Probably around my high school years is when I kind of discovered that. I discovered that game a little bit later, but after that, it was kind of a moving into like the Dungeons and Dragons era.
Yeah.
I played Magic the Gathering for, oh good Lord, 20 years. So I was around the beginning of that pretty much. And then, during that, I got burned out with that. So I don't know. I'd say probably in the good last 10 or 12 years, I kind of, started watching different little channels here and there. And I was like, oh, wow, the board games have really gotten a lot better, just the standard ones you can buy, like, for instance, game I play, my favorite one right now is called Shadows of Brimstone. Think of it as a cooperative play where we all play frontier kind of Western characters.
Right.
Like, Speed, you could be the gunslinger, and
Definitely.
Jack, you could be the lawman, and I could be whatever, I could be the American pirate. We all have different traits and abilities. But think of Old West versus kind of a Cthulhu-ish world. So you go into this mine. You go into these mines where these portals have opened up, and you go on these different missions, and you can actually level up your characters and stuff. But it's like more of an advanced board game, but it does have kind of story elements through it, so it gives you the feeling of an RPG as well as a board game. It takes a long time to play through sessions, but if you don't mind sitting down for several hours at a time, it's just once I realized they made games like this, I was like, man, why am I playing
Sorry over here in trouble?
Yeah.
This has so much more content to
it. And there's nothing wrong with people who just enjoy a good game of Uno or whatever. I have nothing against that. But like when you came to me and go, hey man, I got a group over here, and they want to play, Uno or Spades, and all respect to those games and stuff. But it's like, or do you want to play like, the game I just picked up, Aliens, another glorious day in the core where I can be a Marine and shoot down aliens? I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that's really cool that board games have evolved. Well, I wouldn't say they haven't evolved because D&D's been around for a very long time.
My dad used to play D&D back in the 80s.
And I know that has lots of really cool elements of RPG and storytelling. And and a lot of games that had to catch up over the years. Now video games obviously are pretty strong in that regard.
It's kind of funny you say that. There's this game called Dragon's Lair on the computer. It's an old game.
Yeah.
And I always mix Dragon's Lair up with D&D. And
Dragon's Lair. Dude, Dragon's Lair. Is that the old...
it's like decision based.
Yes, and it's like cartoon and...
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like watching a cartoon, but you make the decisions in it.
It's crazy. That was an arcade game, and I'm pretty
was
sure...
it really?
Yes.
I have no
I'm
idea.
pretty sure Dragon's Lair has been around for a while.
I played that at a stand-up arcade machine.
Yes. Yes, and that's been around for a while, right, E.T.? Like probably 80s, maybe
If I know
later?
something, it's been around for a while.
Yeah. That's interesting because I remember an old laundromat I used to go to as a kid. My mom would go to the laundromat, because we didn't have a washer or whatever. And I remember seeing Dragons. I'm pretty sure they had Dragon's Lair there. And they had this, speaking of arcades, I'm just going to tangent into arcades because arcades are just fantastic.
they're
I love
amazing.
arcades.
I still love arcades.
That was the one thing that I loved about going to the laundromat as a kid. I mean, you had a bunch of sketchy people, The environment wasn't great, but the little crappy arcade machines were just fantastic. When you could actually get on them, when the kids that didn't have money to play the arcade, but they were standing and grabbing the plastic guns and playing with them and sticking them down their pants and everything like that,
and licking them and
you couldn't get a hold of them.
Yeah,
that kind of sucked.
That's where COVID started.
Yeah, but when you could actually get your hands on those disgusting guns and play the games. There's one game I remember specifically I never beat. It was an old shoot 'em up game. It had little plastic gun. I think they're called gun cons or something like that.
I have no idea.
I think they're called gun cons.
And even there's an evolution of the arcade machines for games too. Like when Street Fighter 2 came out, it was huge.
Yes, I did remember that.
A lot of people's first experience was from that.
Yeah, definitely.
Played that at Skate Mania, I think.
Yeah.
I'm by far the youngest here.
Yeah. How old are you, Jack?
I am 22 years old.
The 22-year-old. We got a 31-year-old here, and
I just had my 50th birthday.
Happy
birthday!
Happy birthday, man! So we're covering quite a few generations here, but that's the great thing about it, But I remember the game. It was called Carnival. It was Carnival. It was a play on. It was a carnival, but with evil on the end of it, and it was so cheesy, but it was so great. And the levels you play around, evil clowns and like demons and different stages. I never beat that game. I would have probably dropped hundreds of dollars to beat it, but
yeah. One of my favorite modern arcade games is you ever play Luigi's Mansion on like the GameCube and stuff like that?
I've played it a little bit, but I'm not super familiar.
There's a new. I think it's newer at least. The first time I saw it was probably about a year ago. And it's literally like the vacuum using the game, and it's like the gun cons.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I saw that at a place in Tampa. Actually, there was in Ybor City. There's this little.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I went in there a couple weeks ago.
Like Game Zone or something. I don't remember what it's called. Yeah, but I think they had that game.
Is it right
there.
next to the brewery?
Yes.
TV. Yeah.
Yes.
I know what you're talking about.
It's right across from.
I literally walked in there.
Yeah, it was all right, little arcade. But I stayed at a hotel like right within walking distance of there. So yeah, that was a beer burp there.
Lucky we're not doing shots tonight.
There, I think that got picked up.
Where was this at?
Tampa, Ybor City. It's like YBOR.
Yeah.
It's called. Actually, hang on. I might have.
It's right next to TBBC, which is the brewing company in Tampa.
Yeah,
It's game something, I think.
I might have a card from it. I changed wallets recently, but I think.
Oh, did you play the games there?
Yeah, I actually got a little card for it.
I just walked in and strolled around for a minute.
I have this card, which I think is from Ocala. Easy Street Gaming card. I don't think it's that one.
I cannot believe Easy Street survived COVID, by the way.
Yeah. Hang on. I think I got it here, guys. There's a really old Universal Pass. There's a...
Man, you got to clean this thing out.
I do. Surfside.
We'll do this on the next episode. We'll sit here and we'll read off everything he has in there.
Let's lead.
Is your social in there? Because we'll read that off too for you.
I do have that in here, actually. Hey, I got a bow tie of the month club card.
An intervention in order.
I literally have a bow tie of the month club.
We need to start a new show called Hoarders, but it's only for your wallets.
Yeah.
I had the same problem at one point.
Yeah.
But I've evolved a little bit from that.
I have not. We're getting.
Dang, man! How do you have this many? How do you even fit that in your pocket?
Wait a minute, Hilton? Nope. This is. Oh wait, this is the hotel I stayed at across from the place. It's the Hilton Honors We're getting closer,
Hey,
guys.
if you guys follow us on YouTube, we're probably going to post a picture of how fat this man's wallet is.
And my social.
Yeah, we're gonna throw that one in there too.
Hey, I got an IHOP card.
That's for the paid membership.
This IHOP card has some history to it, but that'll be for another episode. Nope, somehow I don't have, of all the cards I have, I don't have the one that, and now everything.
This is a new board game you just put out on the table right here.
That expired. This debit card expired in 2018, by the way. It's a very old one.
We're not doing this right now. Stop looking at these things.
All right.
We're saving that one for next week.
Yeah, that's gonna be a special. This is gonna be a Patreon. You gotta get my social. You gotta
be our
subscribe
bonus
to
episode.
Patreon. Yeah, no, I love adult arcades. I feel, and when I say adult arcades, it sounds really weird, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about. The places where you can drink beer and be
a lot of arcades kind of double now, though. You know, it's like, oh, they have the games for the kids, and the adults can play too. But then later in the night, the bar starts to get busier. And,
yeah, like Dave and Buster's
and Andretti karting and games.
Yeah, like that one. Yeah, I don't know that one, but
it's in Orlando next to Top Golf. It's a lot of fun.
Oh man,
but there's go-karts there, and you can drift them and stuff.
I don't even work for that place anymore. Anyway, sorry guys, I'm getting distracted.
Is this like a Chuck E. Cheese for adults or what?
Andretti?
It sounds like.
I was wondering.
Yeah. The Andretti karting and games. It's like a Chuck E. Cheese for adults, but the go-karts go actually pretty quick. They're a lot of fun, and you can drift them around corners. And my favorite thing they do is if you're holding up a line of people and they can't get around you, they'll stop you and let them go ahead. One of my good friends got stopped midway through the race, and he was not very happy about it at all.
Man.
But they only go by lap time. They don't go by who finishes first. So whoever gets the fastest lap wins, pretty much. But They also have like laser tag, and they had all kinds of games. They had a bar where you could sit like on the second floor, and you could watch the go-kart track, and you could watch the people race and stuff.
That's pretty cool. Like a little cheering section.
You can gamble on who's going to win.
There you go. Super adult.
Yeah, you should have seen all the 12-year-olds putting their gum up to it. You know,
yeah, their gel pens.
I bet you some juicy fruit that number 3 is going to get there.
Yeah, there was definitely some collusion going on. I guarantee you, some cheating. Yeah. Some kid's got a whole pocket full of juicy fruit. You know, he needs to go to the timeout. So let's say go to jail, but I think timeout is the appropriate punishment for that.
Brings up a pretty interesting point about
what's
people
that?
Who people that like now that you think about, like I talk about, like you said something might be going on, but what about, like, have you ever, I mean, you played a lot of poker,
yes,
especially back in the day.
Yep.
And I mean, have you ever, like, people who like try to manipulate the game but like illegally, like, you know, people who just like cheat at games.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I mean, you know,
yeah.
I mean, have you been under, you know, subjection where you've seen people adding?
Yeah. So
like, hey, we're, you know,
that's an interesting subject that you bring up, actually. So I don't know if you're too familiar with the back in the day, there was a poker craze with a lot of online poker, like especially when the World Series started getting televised and the Moneymaker won. And one, if you're not familiar with poker, Moneymaker was a guy, Chris Moneymaker was his name, and he ended up winning the World Series. And he was kind of like an average, everyday kind of guy.
Moneymaker actually his last name, or is that just like what he became?
Honestly, I don't know the answer to that. That seems, now that you mention that, I never really thought of that. It seems very outlandish that was his last name.
He kind of earned that.
But yeah. Anyway, he won, and then it started this craze of a lot of amateurs and people who never played poker before kind of jumping on the bandwagon and playing poker, and online poker kind of blew up, and a lot of people played online, and Poker Stars and Full Tilt were two really big ones. And I remember I didn't learn necessarily, but I did play a lot of Poker Stars when I was a kid, when I was like maybe 9 or 10 years old. I kind of did learn a lot of the basics from that with play money. Yeah. And my grandma had a little poker set that I played as well. And then I had an uncle that had a home game, and et cetera, et cetera. But then a little bit later in life, I actually deposited some money in Full Tilt, and yeah, it wasn't even just collusion with players. I think there was a lot of that going on as well on there, because it was really easy to do at the time. I would play with my brother as well, and we never colluded specifically together, but we would play in tournaments, and we would, back then, you know, AOL Instant Messenger was the thing, or Yahoo Messenger. So we'd be playing in a tournament.
So how did you not get caught with booting that up every time?
Well, they were independent programs from the one you're playing, so they had no idea how to track that. But we never did that at the same table. So we'd enter tournaments, and it would be like, hundreds of people in the tournament, and we'd just be like, we would watch each other's tables. We almost never were on the same table as each other anyway, because the tournaments are so big. But you could observe other players as well, so we'd be watching each other when we're playing. And we did have one time, which was kind of hysterical, where we both got like suspended because we were suspected of colluding, even though we never even played at the same table. I don't even know how it happened. But anyway, if you follow poker, you'll find out that the software for Full Tilt was very questionable. I don't know all the details, but I do know that there was something with the software, and at the time I played a lot of live poker and online, and I noticed there was something a little weird with just the way hands play out, to where they're like astronomically, two people have hands that maybe 1 in a million chance, two people have a straight flush or something like that,
yeah.
and then someone else has some other crazy hand. Basically hands that weren't necessarily built for one person to win or another, but they usually benefited the person who was more loose and aggressive, which, if you know poker, bigger pots means more money for the house, because you get a bigger pot, they get a rake out of it. With the rake is basically the tax for it.
Sounds like a program error.
Yeah, so the programming definitely seemed to encourage large pots, give lots of people lots of draws and really strong hands to play against each other.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was some sort of, I don't know if it's collusion or it's just issues with the software. They had many, many, many lawsuits against them. They're not, I don't think they're operational anymore.
There goes all that extra money they made.
Yeah, they got shut down because there's a lot of questionable stuff going on with the software there. But it's funny you mentioned that, because I haven't played poker in a while, but I was watching a video the other day, and it was interesting. It was a couple, a boyfriend and a girlfriend. They both entered in a tournament, and to be fair, they're both poker professionals in their own right. And then I guess they started dating. And they got down to the final table, and it was those two and one other guy at the table. And it's like, what do you do in that situation? It's like they actually offered to split the pot pretty much evenly, even though they both had a lot more chips than the third guy. It was kind of the moral thing to do, the right thing to do. And the guy refused. He's like, I want to play this game out, basically. So if you're not familiar with splitting the pot, Jack, or maybe ET.
Stopping the pot.
Basically, it means even in a tournament, you can stop the play. And I don't remember, they can split 20% of the prize pool, 20, and then they'll play for the last 20. There's a certain amount they still got to play for, but basically everyone still gets a bigger chunk. And they offered it to the guy, and the guy refused. But then it's there's a thing called soft playing, which is borderline colluding, where if you're playing against...
Is that like erectile dysfunction?
That is. It's a separate category, though. But soft playing is when you're playing not as hard against somebody that's a family member or friend. You're basically you're overbetting your hands to let them know you have a really good hand. You're not trying to break them,
Yeah.
Which at the same, I was looking at the hands, and I'm I feel kind of bad, because they're in a relationship together. He's got to go home to her, and there's a hand where one had aces and one had jacks, both really good hands pre-flop, and they were playing against each other. And the guy with the aces just kept he had jacks, and he flopped a set, and he was pushing really hard, and she kept looking at him, giving him that eye, I can't believe you're fucking doing this right now.
Fucking son of a bitch.
He's son of a bitch. He's gonna hear it later.
You're not getting this tonight.
Yeah. And I'm just sitting there man, that's gotta suck, because what do you do in that situation? It's almost like you can't help but soft play the other person, you know what I mean? But situations like that it's interesting, because a lot of people don't understand, especially with professional players or people that play a lot of poker. They'll get pieces of each other, which I don't know. I've turned it into a poker podcast with all my lingo.
You're good.
But anyway, so basically a pro can get a piece of another pro, which means they basically pay for someone, they stake them for a tournament or buy in, because little known fact about poker players, they love gambling on everything. So if they stake another player, basically if they end up cashing in the tournament, then that player's going to give them a percentage of what they win. So they could be playing in the same tournament as somebody that they have a piece of, or their stake, have a stake in it. And if they're at the same table as them, there's obviously they're not going to try to play too hard against them because they have investment in that person, so they don't want to break that person, right? Yeah. And that brings up an interesting part with colluding and soft playing, where it happens a lot in professional poker, and people don't really say much about it, but because it's not as obvious as boyfriend and girlfriend or something like that. Yeah. But I have seen it before in person. I've seen family members and stuff. I mean, I did play a lot of home games, whereas like a husband and wife would be at the table, and you could definitely tell when the husband and wife at the table, they play soft against each other. And I played against my uncle, but I never played soft against my uncle, to be fair with you.
Did he ever play soft with you?
No, he wanted to put me out. It was the only person I probably ever played soft against was my dad, and that was only because a lot of times when I was like 14, I would ride with him. Yeah. And it's like, I don't want that ride home, It'd be a little rough when I put them out or something like that.
Back in middle school, I was in TV production for a while, and I made a short film, and it was a poker short film. Yeah. And so it's like going around, and it's all these guys are like really serious about playing poker, and
their sunglasses on.
I went all out. I probably did a little bit too much extra to get a good grade, but I don't remember if I did well on the grade or not. Yeah. But after someone wins the hand, the camera like pans down, and it's a bowl full of cookies. It was like cookie poker, and they're like betting macadamia nut here. And
oh, dude, macadamia nut, man!
Chocolate chips.
That's the high stakes
double
table
chocolate
right
chunk. Yeah. Jesus. It was a pretty funny video. I think I did well on it actually. Now that I'm thinking back on it.
I hope you passed. I hope you. I
passed. Of course.
You wouldn't be at the table right now.
Yeah, I know. I dropped out of high school to start a podcast.
Yeah. Man, things are getting rough for you.
I have a question for Eric now. Yeah. So you said card games count as board games. Does that go for poker as well?
Yeah. Well, board game is kind of at least in my world that. And a lot of the gamers out there, that if it's a card game or board game party, it's all considered like under that board game header. So, like, even though you would think of whatever, a game like at Target you can buy called like 4 Crowns, which is just like a little card game. That's still under your, that's in your board game collection. So that's all under that same header.
That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nintendo has been around for a long time, and they actually started out with physical card games and stuff like that. Have you ever played any of those?
Yeah. I haven't played the original Nintendo card game. They're miniature cards. I have pretty huge hands, so I have a problem.
He does. He's like a golem.
And it's true. It's pretty scary. Sometimes I'll sideboard. I'll just reach my arm out the window and move a tree for the county. But I've always wanted to, see that. I guess I could just dial it up on another YouTube channel and watch. I'm sure somebody actually has a lot. I've seen original cards actually on another, but I've never actually seen somebody try to play one of the original card games.
I've looked into them a little bit, but I don't know too much about them.
It's funny. I just learned about that the other day. It was another very, very popular YouTube channel their game show that they were doing was what did this company do originally, and one of the things, what I'm talking about, right? Nintendo, and that's how I figured out card games. What
time it is.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So I just watched a movie not too long ago, and I'll be honest with you, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the movie. I was just trying to think of it as you guys were talking, but I can't think of it. But anyway, one of you two might have seen it. It's about this female who marries into this family. And it's a family of a very prominent board game creators, I guess. Like the great ancestor was.
Do you remember what it was called?
I don't.
It sounds kind of familiar.
It's within the last 3 years.
So it's a recent movie.
Pretty recent, not like this year or last year, but maybe. It
sounds
the year before.
Really familiar.
Yeah, are you familiar with this ET? I can go on to explain it.
I'm not familiar with
that. All right, so I'll give you a little bit further along. So basically, this woman's marrying into this family, and they're rich. They're very fortunate, and their great grandfather or whatever was a board game creator. So he's got a bunch of board games, and there's like a ceremony when they get married, right? So what happens is they draw a card, and it's like this machine that shuffles all these cards around, and depending on
wait a second. I think I have seen this.
Okay, so you are familiar? Okay.
It sounds more and more familiar to me.
Yeah, I think I've actually got the name of it from thinking about the synopsis. But anyway, so they 9 out of 10 times they'll draw a card and they play a board game, and it's not a big deal. Like, they just play the board game. You know, it might be Sorry or whatever the board game is. Probably not Sorry, because that's copyrighted, and this family probably didn't create that game. But anyway, the 1 in a 10 chance, it's like a hide and seek type game where the bride has to hide from the family. The family has to kill the bride that's marrying into the family.
Yeah, I saw that at the theater. Now that you say it.
Yeah. Have you seen this, Jack?
No, I don't think I have, actually.
It's actually really interesting.
Threw me off just now.
So, like I said, it's usually benign. Most of the time, it's just they play chess or whatever. But the one time they draw the certain card,
hide and seek might be the title of it.
Yeah, I think it might be something along the lines of hide and seek or something.
That does sound familiar.
Yeah. So it was just a really interesting movie. I just watched it not too long ago, and spoilers. I mean, they draw the card that is the worst card that could possibly be, and the husband thinks it's going to be okay, but then he sees the card and he's like, oh shit, you know, like, I have to basically kill my wife now.
Yeah.
My family has to kill the wife. So the twist is, I don't remember if, like, the great ancestor made some sort of deal with the devil or something similar to where, like...
Is it a Blumhouse movie?
I don't know. That I don't know.
Sounds like a Blumhouse movie.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of Truth and Dare or something like that.
I do know that one. I'm familiar with that one. It's not that one, but it's a kind of a dark comedy movie because the family's like, it's very clear in the movie that this card hasn't been drawn, at least in their generation, and it's been a very long time. They don't really know the proper ways. They're all going around picking their weapons, and they're like crossbows off the wall. They're like a very...
But most of the family, I do remember, they don't have a problem with hunting her down and try to kill her.
Yes.
Most people don't have a problem with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're very callous. Like, they're very characters of like rich elite, you know, dysfunctional family. Like, one of the brothers an alcoholic, and
similar to like the Most Dangerous Game or
kind of,
like that.
Yeah.
I could see where they would put the mentality out for it.
But I thought it was a pretty interesting movie, and a kind of a nice twist on the classic, you know, board game cliche or whatever family. But the ending was pretty interesting. I guess I won't spoil it, but maybe I should. Should I spoil it?
Yeah,
it's been out for a few years.
I'll watch it eventually. No, seriously, go ahead and spoil it.
Okay, so basically the family's trying to hunt them down, and then they got till I think it's sunset the next day or something to kill them, and to kill the wife, the new married wife, and they're going around, they're accidentally shooting the maids and stuff, like killing the maids on accident, and they're just like, oh shit, I killed another maid, you know, what the fuck? And I believe they end up not, she gets away, right? So then the sun rises and they all look around, they're like, oh, well, I guess that wasn't a big deal after all. And then they just all, I don't know if they like, explode or something, like all the family members, because if they don't achieve their goal.
They made a pact with a demon or something.
Yeah, a
Holy
demon or something.
crap.
Yeah.
They got raptured.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just thought that seemed to fit what we were talking about. So
Yeah, it did. I got another bit of a question here, actually, and I think this goes well for all of us. If you were going to play one of these in real life, would you prefer Jumanji or Zathura?
I love Zathura, the film. I mean, based upon the original Robin Williams board game and the Zathura board game, and then the Jumanji video game. What's your clarification exactly on that? I mean, Zathura was probably my favorite just because I love science fiction more than I do the type of fantasy. But
I was going to say, as far as the movies go, the original Jumanji is 100% better, I think. I did enjoy it more, but if I was going to play one of them in real life, I'd want to play Zathura because it seems like they have a lot cooler stuff happen.
So I got something to admit here. I have no idea what that is.
Zathura?
Yeah, I don't know what Zathura is. No.
it's Jumanji in space, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this a more recent movie? Or is
Yeah.
it is.
Not more recent than the new Jumanji, the video game Jumanji.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, I'd say 2007-ish, 2006, somewhere around there. I don't really know for a fact, though. It's just a guess.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar, so I guess I would have to default to
it's great, though.
the Robin Williams Jumanji, which, fantastic movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, but did you guys pick up? I'm sure everyone has picked up, but the hunter in the movie was actually played by, I think it was his dad, like Robin Williams' dad.
I had no idea. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. So you know how he has his dad's like disappointed him or whatever, but then the hunter's like the villain, they're trying to kill him at the end. It's the same actor. It's like it's almost like, I'm guessing, a metaphor for his father being disappointed in him or something. Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
E.T., have you ever heard of Mystery Science Theater 3000?
Oh, of course I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're actually going to be doing a bonus episode somewhat in the realm of that. Not exactly like that, obviously, but it's going to be similar where we're going to have movie nights and bonus episodes. And now that this man has told me he hasn't seen Zathura, that's going on the list right this second.
All right.
I have a suggestion. It's harder for production for you guys to do this, but what I envision as a fun twist on it. You know how people like to go to parks or go back to the malls or whatever, but and they like people watch.
Yeah.
Do that sort of thing, but like do a mystery science fiction theater, like you're giving audio commentary, but as you're just watching live people. And we're all at a park of watching people, and you can just make fun of like, one person's voicing what the dog would be saying and that sort of thing. That might be kind of a.
I just wrote it down. I like that idea.
Yeah, be like, look at that kid on a leash. Oh my God, he must have bitten many people this year. Holy shit. I like that. Yeah.
Why are they in the center of the park around nobody and wearing a mask still?
Yeah. Why does she have 3 masks on? Holy shit. I like that. That's great.
It's like, well, it's easy to pick out, which side of the fence they're on. The ones without masks, like, okay, and one with masks. Like, I know who voted for who. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting that you brought up our potential Patreon idea or bonus episodes with that Mystery Science Theater, and we definitely we have a email, which is mindhops, mindhopps @gmail.com. So for everyone who is not aware, we're open. You can submit topics to us. I know me and you, ET, had talked about that a while back with our Bowcast about people emailing us topics, but we ended up doing the old-fashioned way where we went to the store and we'd have them throw topics in a hat for us, and then we'd peel them out in the middle of the episode, which was great. Yeah, which was
we're so desperate. Everybody's too lazy to email. But
just
write the topic on the piece of garbage. And
when you corner people face to face, they got to write something down. They can't just like turn you away.
You could do faux versions of that. I know. On Facebook, my buddy Sam, he'd be a fun guest for you guys because he's a real Haas enthusiast. And
definitely, yeah. I've told Jack about him.
Yeah.
Gotta get him
I've done a video or two with him on Facebook.
Driving with Sam.
Driving with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically we would just go out eating somewhere, and then we'd just talk about what we ate, and just like just kind of a live thing.
Yeah.
I may have done
I've watched them.
Somewhere. I don't.
Very cool. Yeah.
But I remember one of the last ones was I just pretended like that was part of the joke because things that we had earlier in the day, but as I'm doing it live, I'm just kind of doing everything off the cuff, and I was just like, by the way, we want to thank everybody, all our people that are submitting stuff. So like,
but they're not.
So I'm just making up that people are actually watching it live because it's not even live. A subscriber so and so asked if what's your favorite something other, and but it was just really hilarious. But
we do have a pretty large live audience right now in my illustrious mansion, but
there's a bust in
I do. I have 2 busts in my living room. We've had to isolate the audio because the applause is a little bit too loud, so I put them in my third waiting room area.
Yeah, we locked the live audience in the basement.
Yeah, it's a very large basement though. It's bigger than most people's houses.
I had to do the same sort of thing when I said bands. I had to, at first I did it with no walls around, but the audience was just too great. And you just can't do anything about it.
It just kills your audio, man. Yeah, they're too loud.
Yeah, it's just not good.
No, people don't want to listen to that. I had a
problem because I have one of those audio through the shower head thing, so it was trying to also distribute water and, receive audio. It was
that is amazing.
Well, you gotta get that marinara sauce off there when you're eating meatballs off your belly,
Speaking,
it all washes down the drain.
Speaking of audio devices in the bathroom, have you ever heard of Tooth Tunes?
Is that like Fart Book?
They're a toothbrush they made for kids that plays music when you're brushing your teeth, and you can like hear it in your head. And I thought like they should have adult tooth tunes, you know?
Yeah,
like they play Holy Grail and Wet Ass Pussy and stuff like that.
I was thinking like Down with the Sickness, but
Down
I'm clearly an older man, so like that's not up to date anymore.
They can play Frank Sinatra and Elvis if you'd prefer.
Yeah, some Willie Nelson or something like that.
I'm a Frank Sinatra fan. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. That's
Just
great.
remember, all the music and things that you like, everything's circular. So, like Guardians of the Galaxy, when they came out, they played all the 70s music. So everything, eventually, everything
it becomes cool again.
It's just you have to apply it at the right time. Yeah. So,
and then
another 20 years, somebody will care about, what I cared about, 10 years ago.
Yeah. It's funny when you have newer bands too. I've noticed this myself. I've listened to some newer bands that have a nostalgic feel or the older sound to them. Almost like I like a lot of like not hillbilly music, but bluegrass or something like that. Like Roger Miller, if anyone's familiar with Roger Miller.
Banjos.
Yeah, not quite there, but I'll hear that from a newer band, and it's like the coolest thing ever when you hear a newly produced song, but it sounds like it's from another era. Yeah. To me, that's like mind blowing.
There's a couple artists really that are kind of pinpointing that kind of stuff lately too. Like they're doing really good. And alternative rock is making a bit of a comeback in itself. But it's really weird because it's not alternative rock. It's like a new version of alternative rock. It's really cool actually.
It is. It's cool that they. I don't know. It just amazes me how. I don't know why it amazes me because like our technology is so much more advanced. The fact that they can replicate something that was made like 40 years ago or whatever. It shouldn't
be that amazing.
It shouldn't be amazing, but the fact that people are still interested to do that, I guess maybe in some ways, I'm like, that's really really cool. Or I'll hear a new song that sounds old, and I'm like, what? That's not from the.
I'm trying to figure out why do they name everything. Like I understand, when I grew up, it was basically you had like country and rock or something. Maybe you had like gospel or something. But basically, as time goes on, then it's like every division has divisions. And and I think after a while, it's like, oh no, we're ska or something. Like,
a mixture.
Are they something that much different?
Or grunge.
Or are they just like, okay, is everything just metal? Oh no, we're heavy metal. Oh no, we're acid metal. I'm like metal. We're metal wash. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it keeps branching. You're right. And then there's death metal too, and there's all kinds of
metal.
You know what I want to know? Where's paper and scissors? Right? We got rock.
Oh my god.
Where did what's gonna beat rock? I would think paper should come out.
Saving that for the end of the episode usually.
I just had to throw a dad joke right in the middle of it, but you got any good dad jokes for us there? E.T. Put you on the spot. Either.
I'm not a dad that I know of.
Yeah.
But,
no, I mean
I'm not a dad either, I don't think.
Neither one of us are. I hope not, but
all I know is I have a bunch of old jokes, which are actually sometimes very good because people have never heard them because they're so old.
Yeah.
That's always a plus. Because people are like, oh, I've heard that. And I tell a joke and they're like, oh, wow, I've never heard that before. And I'm like, well, yeah, I heard it when I was a kid. You were like not even born.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's circular, right? So, then those jokes will come back around.
It's all fresh again.
Yeah. It's true. Nostalgia.
I mean, what's a joke or a joke subject that you think, when people say something like, oh, it's too soon, like when Heath Ledger dies. I mean, in comedy, are there actually any rules,
My rules for comedy
all rules are off.
Or everything's okay or nothing's okay. And I'm on the side of everything's okay.
I'm on that side too. I don't feel like you can pick and choose sometimes. You know what I mean?
Comedy's comedy to me.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that you're guaranteed a license to do and say whatever you want. And then in the end of the day, it's just like, no, I'm, not a wife beater, but I can make jokes about it all day.
Yeah.
And it's okay,
Yeah.
But
I do feel like political correctness can kill comedy for sure.
Oh yes,
it
has a little bit. I mean, Family Guy, he came out a couple years ago saying he doesn't even want to make gay jokes anymore. Seth MacFarlane did. I'm like, that was like, a big thing on Family Guy was gay jokes.
And I'll be honest, I've never been a fan of Family Guy. I think they're, I don't know.
And I have nothing against
that's not my
gay, but
no, it's not my sense of humor.
it's funny.
But I think I appreciate, like, I feel like It's not my sense of humor, but they
it's
shouldn't have the
okay.
right to. What? You say it's okay?
I said it's just okay.
Yeah. It was too gay for my likes, but this is coming from a man who has the biggest bow tie collection you could ever imagine. And Jack doesn't quite know about this. I know.
I kind of got a hint earlier when you were going through your dictionary of a wallet over there.
Bow tie club. Yeah. I don't know if you remember this, ET, but back in the day when I would wear different bow ties I'm not going to dig through all these again, but I did subscribe to a bow tie the month club, and I would get a different bow tie every month. And actually, our initial podcast that we do at the Chinese restaurant on our lunch breaks.
I do.
I think it was called initially. It was called the Bowcast, which there are still remnants of it out there on YouTube. You could probably find them somewhere.
Almost sounds like hunting, like bow hunting and
yeah,
casting,
yeah.
like fishing.
Yeah, that was kind of I don't know. Well, the idea was at the time I had my website was called bowtieshot.com because I was into photography, and I would take stupid pictures of my bow ties in different environments. So I had like a cheetah bow tie, and I put it in the woods, like in the grass, and I would take a picture and I would title it some stupid name, and then
Do you still have all these?
the pictures I have somewhere. Yeah,
But you don't have the bow ties anymore.
No, I do. Yeah,
Oh, you do?
I do
Okay.
have the bow ties. Yeah, but I have not added to my collection in a while. But anyway, so
Well,
yeah.
you probably should have copyrighted Bowcast. It's probably already been picked up by either.
Yeah, you could have sold it.
Yeah.
Pro Shop.
You're right. I could have made a mint. I wouldn't be trying some other shit on here right now. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway,
I want to ask then about your name, Mind Hops. How did you guys come up with that? And is this going to be like your permanent name that you see down the road, or what's going on with that?
So we kind of wanted to come up with something that gave us a bit of freedom to talk about whatever we wanted on the show. But then our initial idea had to do with, drinking beers and stuff like that. So that's why the hops is in there with double P. But it also still leaves us that freedom to kind of rebrand a little bit down the road if we feel that we have to.
yeah. Which it was kind of a group effort there. He came up 100% with the name Mind Hops. We were kind of workshopping ideas, brainstorming, and then that one came out, and we both kind of looked at each other. We were around the name, and then when you get close to something and you're like, we're close, we just don't know yet. And then when he said it, I was like, dude, that's perfect, because it's like you got the hops with the beer, and then you also have the hops with the
You can hop around.
You can hop around.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
No, it's about a perfect name, I think.
I like it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And we actually have.
And I like my opinions, so.
Yeah, we do know that. I do know that. He might not know that yet, but we have some exciting developments now that you mentioned that. We got some fun stuff coming up and bigger things for our channel for sure in the near future. I don't know if we want to talk about them too much or.
Yeah, we'll talk about one thing that we have in the works right now. We're working on our logo finally.
Yeah, and it's going to be a doozy. It's going to be a really cool logo.
Yeah.
Right now we kind of have a placeholder with the weird looking bunny.
Yeah, a very angry bunny.
Angry bunny.
we
which,
need to get rid of that one
I do
before
remember
Easter.
seeing that.
yeah. But we got a really cool guy coming up with our logo, and we don't really have a name for our guy yet.
For him yet, no.
But
He's a mascot and a logo at the same time.
Yeah, he's a mascot and a logo. So you're getting this like
Do you
exclusive.
guys picture like a music intro too, like a
Yes.
second, like a horrific guitar or something?
We were actually. It's funny that
before that.
you mentioned that. We were having a small discussion before we started recording about
Yeah.
that. I think I had to talk to him first to see if we're on the same wavelength, but I think we kind of got an idea with what vibe we're going to go with our intro. We're definitely, it's going to be the next thing coming up very soon, but we definitely have an idea. of what we want.
Dragon's Lair is actually kind of a hint.
Yeah.
Similar era of what we're looking
Yeah,
at. That's as far as we'll go there.
I think the domain copyright has died off at this point because it's 10 million years old. So we can just steal their music. No, but
If only.
But we do have an idea for an intro. That'll be shortly after the logo. We're gonna get our official intro and everything.
I'll give you free license to use my Jerry Springer song anytime you want to use a picture. of that.
Your Jerry Springer song.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You want to tell the story about that? Because I know about the Jerry Springer song.
Oh, okay. So in the Wayback Machine, when I used to play basketball, and when I lived more in the Scottsdale area, it's a rural area in Florida. If you're not familiar with that, any listeners that are not around here, very countrified, right? I live now in Titusville, which is like right across the station, right?
What's the exact address of your
anyway.
brother's house?
Yeah.
We need to know right now. No, I'm just kidding.
What's that? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Just look out your window.
Yeah. You're in my yard right now. Okay.
So anyway, this was like quite some time ago, but in my younger man days. But I have an acoustic guitar. And I'm a hack. I can't play any real music or anything, but I like to make up a lot of funny lyrics and little things. And
Oh man, this guy's a genius.
Springer song.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I just thought it was hilarious. I played before we played basketball or whatever ditties that I had back then. And so one of my friends, Sam, actually of all people, my buddy Sam that we did driving with Sam, he showed up one day and he goes, "Hey, here's an address that I found at the end of one of the Jerry Springer shows. It says, Springer people, you sent in a video." And I said, "Sam, there's like 10,000, 100,000 people watch the show. They're just sending crap. I'm not even going to pick it." He says, "Oh, well, let's do the Jerry Springer song and send it anyway." So I had it back then, like the old 8mm camera. Trent, do you remember those little video cassettes?
I do. Yeah.
Time or not, but yeah,
no,
so
I do.
I had one of those, which wasn't bad. The audio was terrible, but I did my little Jerry Springer song with a couple of people that just showed up randomly at my house, and just played it on my acoustic guitar with a Packer shirt, my beard, and cut off jeans or something, and and I sent it in, and then about a month after that, I was working at Walmart. And I got a call from my brother Wayne, and he says, "Hey, some producer just called saying they want to play your video, but they need a permission through FedEx or something." And I said, "Yeah, right, whatever, buddy." And so I thought it was a big joke. When I got home, he had all the information written down. I go, "Did somebody really call?" And he's like, "Yeah, man." I'm like, "Oh." So anyway, I called them, and they said, "Yeah, we want to play your show. We can't pay you any money for it, like surprise, surprise, but you do own all the rights to it or whatever." So basically, they made a show called The Lost Episodes, where they took like the best of everything that didn't quite make it on and showed fragments of it. And at the very end, they gave me a pretty good intro and said, "Hey, there's a viewer out there that wrote a song, sent it to us, and this is Eric Tarver from Scottsboro, Florida, singing the Jerry Springer song." And they played my like 2.5-minute song, which I thought was hilarious. You can't even hardly hear the words, but the guy's intro was just hilarious. And I had people all around the community, like, especially when I worked at Walmart, they were coming up to me for probably a couple of years, just saying, "Hey, didn't I see you on Springer?" I go, "Yeah, exactly." But yeah, I wasn't there live or anything. But
it's funny.
Followed me for a good long time. Yeah.
I saw that on YouTube at one point. Is there a way to find that on YouTube? Because I can totally play. If you have the rights for it, I can play it right now. I was kind of looking around on YouTube to see.
I have you can actually look up. I can tell you what it is.
Okay.
I have an old YouTube channel, but I don't remember the code to access or anything more.
Right.
But the channel is called Wild Red Dragon altogether.
Dragon, okay.
It has a bunch of old silly videos. I made a cartoon
Sounds like
video.
a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
It was a stop motion.
Oh shoot!
Cartoon.
Okay, I think I might have found it.
And then you should see like 4 of us sitting there, and it'll say Jerry Springer song. It probably has about 6,000 views or something.
All right,
I see it.
I think I see it.
Yeah, 6.9 thousand.
All right, can I do a thing right now?
You probably won't be able to understand any audio probably on it, but
the
introduction's really good.
Let me hit at least the introduction. Let's see if I can get this go through
We'll listen
here.
to a couple seconds of it real quick.
I got you on my phone right now, so I'm not. Hopefully, I won't lose you when I play this, but I'm not sure. We'll see here.
That's okay.
Well, that does it for all our lost episodes, or at least the ones I can show you on national television. But you know what? We couldn't find a final thought to fit all these stories. But you know what we did find? One of our Springer people, a viewer just like you, wrote a song and sent it to us. So that's what we'd like to close with today. World premiere video from Eric Tarver from Scottsboro, Florida, singing the Jerry Springer song. Take it away, Eric.
I love it.
Jerry Springer and all you show, yes, I got in the world to know. All the lucky other next door, and I'm not gonna take it no more. Jerry and come and change you, I'm crazy, people if you're looking to. Don't make me go to the road, so Jerry, let me on your story. Jerry, 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 Jerry,
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. Oh man, that's great. Did you hear that? Could you hear it? You still with us?
I could only hear broken broken pieces.
Broken pieces
Oh,
of it. All
that's
right.
because it
A little
wasn't
bit of
streamed straight to you. It was,
Yeah.
Okay.
It came through pretty well on
No,
the
that's
on the
fine.
stream though. That's great. I remember. Yeah, I remember that. That was fantastic,
That's
man.
awesome.
I guess that might have been my YOLO moment or something.
Yeah. I mean, Jerry
You
Springer
peaked
was,
too early.
Jerry Springer was pretty big back in the day. That was I remember. my
I
mom
watched
used
a lot
to
of Jerry
watch
Springer
that.
with my biological mom.
Yeah. My mom. I watched it with my mom quite a bit too. So yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get any autograph requests or anything for it. But, nowadays it's all about the selfie.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I take way too many of those.
Yeah. Well, we always end the show on a dad joke. So
Yeah.
Jack always hits us with a dad joke. Unless you had a specific, I mean, you're not a dad, but
Wait,
you have,
is there one more thing that we can talk about?
yeah,
real
yeah.
quick?
Let's go ahead. And,
This is
yeah.
kind of fresh still.
All right, go ahead.
And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really funny to me 'cause
All right,
I
go
do
ahead.
not like this guy at all.
Okay.
You ever heard of Pete Davidson?
I'm not familiar. What
He's-
about you, ET?
He's an SNL. He said yeah.
I have heard that name. Yeah.
Okay.
He's a comedian on SNL. He's younger,
Yeah.
and he's actually kind of a funny guy.
Yeah.
But he does not take jokes very well over the
Okay.
internet at all.
That
He
seems
gets
like
very
a problem
upset.
being a comedian.
And
probably.
there's a couple more things about him, but I'm sure most of the people listening probably know what those things are with Mac Miller and whatnot. But the thing is, this happened last week.
Okay.
This crazy lady
Yeah.
thought she was married to him, or at least she just kept saying she was his wife. And I think he still lives with his mom or something.
Oh my.
And
He
she
lives-
literally went into their house and just sat down at the kitchen table and would not leave, and just kept saying that they were married over and over again.
What?
They had to call the cops to get her taken out of there.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know who this guy. Wait. So he's on SNL. He's a comedian.
Yeah, he's a comedian on SNL.
He lives with his mom still.
I don't.
think?
I'm not
That's
100%
tattoos,
sure.
right?
I know there was a family member. It might have been his aunt or something. There was
Okay.
someone at his house.
The story's so
that was
weird
there
to
when
me.
I know, right? That's why
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about it. Like,
That's bizarre.
I was looking more into it, and there's really not that much information yet. There's probably
Yeah.
any more released, but
That's
I was
crazy.
Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. I don't even know how to take that. I have not seen SNL in ages, but
Oh, man.
that
It's
is
been a while.
wild, man. What's your take on that, ET? Were you familiar with the story?
Well, I think it was Pete Davidson's the guy that he actually had like a little. I don't know if it was a Netflix special or something. He was on one of these other channels. He made a story sort of about his life, his relationship with his dad. It was all broken.
the King of Staten Island?
He's
Is
the
that
guy
what?
that has all the tattoos, right?
Yeah, King. I think you're talking about King of Staten Island. I never watched it, so I wouldn't know.
Right. That's him, right?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, I've seen him guest star on other things, but yeah, he seems very sensitive about whatever happened to. I think just whatever his life was before has probably made him sensitive to certain things.
Well,
But
for being a
I hadn't
comedian
heard
and
about
being
that,
sensitive,
but
it doesn't
that's
really
crazy.
mix.
Yeah, that's a bad combo, I would think, honestly.
But like I said,
Yeah.
he is a pretty
I
funny
like-
guy in what he does. It's just I like to see people be able to take jokes when they're dishing jokes out as a comedian too.
Right. Exactly. You have to dish them and take them. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's I'll have to look into that because I'm not familiar with any of the newer casts of SNL. I do remember growing up with like Will Ferrell. And
I
Oh,
just
man.
remember his first wife was really hot, supposedly.
yeah.
I didn't look into that.
is
I think
something
my
to
favorite
remember.
SNL is Keenan or Bill Hader. Keenan Thompson or Bill Hader. They're pretty good.
I
to
am
me.
familiar with Bill Hader. I remember Keenan from Keenan and Kel on
And all that,
Nickelodeon and
on
all that.
Nickelodeon,
Yeah, when
yeah.
I was younger.
My
not,
sister's
like,
a little bit
young
older
enough.
than me, so I
Yeah,
did watch
yeah.
some of those shows when I was younger too.
Yeah, I do not know Bill Hader from SNL, but I do know him from other things. He's really
He's
funny.
amazing,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's amazing. But
He's got a little show now called Barry on one of the streaming networks.
oh, really?
Decent.
Maybe we'll get him on
He plays
next
a
week.
hitman.
Yeah, we're gonna talk to Bill Hader.
Yeah,
And then we'll move up from there. We'll go to Will Ferrell and then Jim Carrey.
yeah. And then we'll go back down to this.
I mean, just
who's this guy you're talking about?
Tell them that they know Jack.
Yeah.
Jack them and
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit in that one guy's house and say we're married and you got to do a show or I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
I don't know what this guy's name is, but that guy.
Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Pete Townsend, but I think that's a musician or something. I don't know. Someone knows who that is. It's a person, but yeah.
Well, the good thing is your people that you have on your show from now can only go up now from you. So there you go.
I don't know about that. This is the man, the Jerry Springer guy. I don't.
Yeah,
I
you're
honestly
big
think
time, like-
you are bigger than the next at least 10 guests. I'll say.
Yeah, I don't think
Easy.
we could have done much better for a first guest.
Definitely not. And potentially, I would like to have you on again sometime at some point because you're just a freaking a joy to talk to. I will say it's been too long.
I appreciate you guys having me on the show, and if you don't mind, I'll throw a little plug out there again. If you get a chance, visit the Dice Matrix on YouTube.
Dice Matrix, okay.
If you like, the Dice Matrix.
Absolutely.
If you like it, subscribe. If not, that's okay. But anything is appreciated. Appreciate it.
Really great stuff.
So having me on.
No, anytime, man. And I'll put that in because we have a YouTube. So basically, we have Spotify. We have most of the streaming platforms covered with podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, etc. But we also are uploading to our YouTube channel as well. So if you're listening on YouTube, we also are available on podcast stuff like Spotify and such if it's easier for you. But on our YouTube channel, we'll definitely I'm going to put a link because I kind of edit that. I'll put a link to your channel in the description. And we'll definitely get that set up. And then I would like also maybe get you back on or with Sam, or maybe get Sam separate, whatever. Because Sam definitely, driving with Sam is very good. And I don't know him that well, but I know that from what I know of him, he's a drinker of beers, many beers. I've seen him post things all the time about going to breweries
and great guy.
And tasting beers.
Once you get him talking, he's like that guy on the country porch that will just sit in the rocking chair and talk to you the whole time. So he's really laid back.
And that's coming from you, because this is the man that has stories for ages. So that's a big plug from you. So
how old is Sam?
Kind. Sam's a few years younger than me. I think he's mid-40s.
Okay. I'm just kind of curious to see what age range we're kind of spanning here when it comes from me and whoever else we have on here.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I just noticed during my life, it's interesting because I think Trenton's similar. That's why we connected so well. Even though there's probably a 20-year plus gap between.
Doesn't feel like it.
But
but
my whole life, when I was 20 years old, I got along with.
Oh yeah.
Real young people and with senior citizens. It's just
same.
People just tend to be good with good people.
Jack's definitely the same way. We got the same vibe because I'm the senior citizen in the group of us too here. So it's nice to have someone a little bit older than me on, because where I live and work, it's just I'm the old man. So
he is the old man on the crew.
Yeah. So. But
and they only get younger. I'll tell you that from experience.
And I only get older. So we always end the show with a dad joke. So I know this man over here is the king of dad jokes. But if you would like, you don't have to call it a dad joke, but you could take the final reins here. If you had something, one of your old jokes you want to throw out there, we can.
No, let's stick to tradition. Let Jack.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we can both tell one. Mine's short this week. I don't have anything too crazy right now.
Okay.
Have you heard of Orion's Belt?
I have, yes.
Isn't it such a waste of space?
Wow.
It is, yeah. Do you have one for us, E.T.?
I don't have anything as good as that, so.
All right, well, we'll end it there. Thanks for joining us, man. Until next week.
Thank you, guys.
This is Mind Hops.